Hi, I'm Melissa May, and this is Little Book of Confessions, a podcast about the stories we keep, the truths that shape us, and the messy, beautiful in between. What started as my journal turned into a space for raw conversations, anonymous confessions, and unfiltered reflections on life, work, identity, and everything we're not saying out loud. If you're figuring it out as you go, you're not alone. Let's confess, because some secrets deserve to be told. Trigger warning. Little Book of Confessions is a space for honest, unfiltered storytelling. Episodes may include discussions of trauma, mental health, abuse, sexual assault, addiction, self-harm, suicidal ideation, grief, identity struggles, and other sensitive or difficult subjects. Please take care while listening. Pause or skip episodes if you need to. Your well-being comes first. Today, I wanted to share something with you that is the secret that changed everything for me. I alluded to in the first episode that I had an interesting childhood, and I just wanted to share this one thing because this is really a catalyst for me exploring my own story, looking for answers of what happened to me when I was a kid. And basically, I'll just share this one part. There's a lot more that goes along with this too, but basically, my parents had fought over custody of my sister and I for quite some time. And at one point, when I was about 9.5, my mom decided she wanted full custody, even though she had been absent for quite some time. And my dad kidnapped us out of the state, technically called kidnapping, because he was facing a court hearing, and he took us out of the state, out of Ohio, and we fled to Maine, where we lived for several months. Eventually, we did go back to Ohio because he thought it was going to be safe. He thought he had a good enough case, and basically, when we returned there, the courts ruled in my mom's favor and took us away from him. He was arrested right in front of us, and we were ripped out of school and ripped away from everything we knew to go with somebody that we hadn't seen in a very long time. So that was when I was 9, and I didn't talk to my dad for a long time, and I'll go into that more later, but when I was 21 years old, I really wanted to find him, and ever since I was in high school, I had written letters to what I remembered was our old address, and I had remembered his full name, his middle name, like surprisingly. As a little kid, it's interesting those things stay with you, but I one day I went to the Yellow Pages. Remember, that's how we used to find phone numbers. And I looked up a private investigator and gave them all the information I had on my dad. And they found him within a few days. He was living in Alaska, and I was able to get his contact information. So basically reached out. It was very beginning days of the internet. You could email, and we started talking, and he ended up flying out to come see me and my sister. And he brought something with him that I would actually not read for about another 15 years, because I can't even tell you because why, but he gave me this typed up document of his story of what happened. And I think it was too painful for me for a while. And I just tucked it away into a box, and I forgot about it for a while until I started going to therapy, and a lot of things happened in between those years. But I just want to share this one thing, this secret. It changed my life. And this is, in his own words, the first page of many pages of his documentation of what happened that year. So my dad writes, "This is a true story. I haven't seen or heard from my children since February 7th, 1990. I'm a victim of the Medina County court system, but worse, my children are victims. They were taken from me against their will, without the court having questioned my children or me. Their welfare was completely ignored. They were given to their biological mother, who has seen them 9 days in the past 4.5 years. The Medina court didn't consider what effect this may have on my children. They didn't even bother to ask me, as the children's legal custodial parent, whether they were on any medication or under a doctor's care. They didn't even bother with my due process and have a hearing until after my children were taken. I didn't even get to say goodbye. The court gave their biological mother full custody. They said she could have them forever with no visitation for them or for me. For 9.5 years, I've been involved in their lives every day. I've been their father and mother for the past 4.5 years, and we're never to see or talk to one another again. Is this in the best interest of my children? The court didn't bother to question her, their mother, lack of involvement in her children's lives. In 4.5 years, she hasn't even sent them a birthday card. When I worked for the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court as a surveillance officer on intensive probation, I saw many such injustices take place, but I never believed or thought it would happen to me. I've devoted the past 9.5 years of my life to be the best parent I could possibly be. And now it's all gone. My children are without me, and I am without them. I've been caring for Melissa, 9.5, and her sister, 6.5, as a single parent for 4.5 years. In the past, their mother has been sporadically and unpredictably involved in their lives, and now their welfare is in danger, and the damage already caused by the court's irresponsible actions is irreparable. The courts have a mandate to ensure the safety of my children, to know about their location and welfare. They placed my children in the care of a virtual stranger without my ever having been to court to defend myself or having ensured the safety and welfare of my children. I'm asking for your help and support because the Medina courts have not and are not doing anything to protect the best interest of my children. I'm asking for your help and support because the Medina courts have not and are not doing anything to protect the best interest of my children. Enclosed is a story, history, and letters from friends, and it is my hope that you will investigate my case because I truly believe the only fair chance my children have to see their dad again is if the Medina courts are held under close scrutiny by the media and by the public. Please help us. So when I first read that first page, it really rocked me because I had been told for a long time that my dad didn't want anything to do with us after my mom took custody. In fact, I remember there were a few phone calls at the beginning, and my mother would arrange them to be during when The Simpsons were on. I don't know if you remember, Simpsons were a really popular cartoon back then, but she would tell him, oh, they're watching TV. They don't want to talk to you. And we never received letters, never heard from him. The phone calls just tapered off. And then we moved so many times. I didn't know if he looked for us or if he couldn't find us. It was all very confusing. And I think, when I found him when I was 21 with a private investigator, after 2 days, just knowing his name, they found him in Alaska. I think I was so happy to see him again. And I still had in the back of my head, if I could have found him, why couldn't he have found me? But I pushed that aside because it was more important for me to have this relationship. But I think when he gave me this set of documents, I didn't have the tolerance to read it because I didn't want to know what it had to say. Because I wanted to keep that part kind of locked up and separate from the joy of reuniting with him. But it was really difficult to go through that. And I just think about how important it is to know who your people are, where you come from, what's happened to you. And so when I did pick this up years later, I went on the journey of, exploring a lot of those stories. So I have more to come on that. Sorry, that's a little bit of an emotional thing for me to talk about, but it's really something that sparked a curiosity in me to understand where I came from. And luckily, through finding my dad, I was able to find that side of the family again and reconnect with my cousins and my grandma. And we really spent a lot of time getting to know each other again. And it was really amazing to just be able to share some of these stories that I thought I just made up from a kid. I mean, I have some weird stories that I remember growing up in Ohio, and being able to validate those was really important and really cool for me. But yeah, that's the secret that changed everything for me, was finding him, reading this story, and going further into his thoughts and where he was at when all this was happening, because I just built up this whole thing in my head, what he was going through. And for me, it was a lot of, did he really not love me and my sister? Did he give up too easily? Did he not try to find us? And I could tell in these papers and these documents, he really did care and love for us. Some of those other questions still remain with me. Why didn't he? Why couldn't he? Etc. But I think I've come to realize, and I'll talk about this a lot too, is that some questions can never be answered. Even if they can be answered, it might not be what you're looking for, what you're hoping for. And sometimes you just have to find some level of comfort and peace and boundaries with what is presented to you. So I hope whatever journey you're going through, whatever family secrets or things that were fuzzy for you, that you can find some clarity, some comfort, talk about it, because that helped me a lot to talk about things, because it made me feel less isolated. It made me realize it wasn't my fault. I was just a little kid, but I could make the decisions of how I was going to move forward with my relationship with him and what that was going to look like. So I just wanted to share that part of my story, because I feel like that's been kind of the orbit I've been revolving around that. Like, that's been my son, but I have realized I'm my son and things can orbit around me. And what other people do or think do not define who I am and what I'm worth. And I'm glad that I read that, because it really helped me ask more questions and connect with my family. So that's my little secret for today. That's my little confession, my story. If you would like to leave a comment, please do. Please follow me here also on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and I'm looking forward to the next episode. So much to talk about. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening to Little Book of Confessions. If something in this episode stirred something in you, good. That's what we're here for. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at melissamay.me. Until next time, keep writing your truth, and remember, some secrets deserve to be told.